So, Simon, I met you at Impact Poland and decided we had to have another conversation. And other than the fact that you might have promised me around, or the participants around, a drink when we're in Poland,
Yes.
and we can actually be humans and meet again outside of this camera, I was really interested in your philosophy around open banking and around the kind of, shared understanding that this is about the customer and about bringing to them anything and everything within reason and good ethical practices that they need.
All right. I hope we have a great e-coffee discussion on really important topics and the future of banking. So let's get on.
Let's get started. So tell them, for people out there that are listening, tell them maybe a little bit about yourself and how you got to this journey of where you are right now.
Oh boy. So really, let's say in short, my job is to help companies to be ready for the future. Therefore, I'm for last 4-5 years been obsessed with making sure that 100-year-old bank can be a digital disruptor and can actually get through a journey to become digital bank with a digital mindset inside, and also a culture of agile work and changing the institution more into the technology company. It's never work done, but I think we are on a great and exciting journey. And what we've done over the last 5 years proves that we are the largest mobile bank in Poland, in Central Eastern Europe. Over the last 3 years, we've been consistently ranked as top-rated mobile banking app with scores ranging from 4.9 and winning many customer experience rankings, and also innovating at the large scale. That includes building a cloud system for Poland in partnership with Google and Microsoft. As of recently, we've developed actually a mobile payment system, which we've done internally. Then we spun off the company, invited other banks to join the system, and created a payments system that is fully on mobile applications that now accounts for about 60% of e-commerce transactions in Poland.
Wow. Okay. I don't even know where to start. That's super interesting. Let's start with the mindset change. One of the lot of things when you talk about innovation, and a lot of the topic around Open Banking Week is innovation, and is what does the future look like around technology, people, and an open finance world. And you touched on that when you said you have to create a mindset shift in culture and bring some tech and some, I call agile working one of the tools in your toolbox to transform this at scale.
Yeah.
What are some of the key sort of maybe guiding principles or philosophy you've applied to your work to getting the organization there? Because then we can dig into the things you've already done.
I think in many respects you will hear a similar cliche statements like, it all starts from customers, but really what it means. And I think that's fundamental to not only, set the vision that, everything that we do is around customers, but then actually build it up so people understand the implications of it. Meaning that's not only a vision for people that create products, that they need to be customer centric and apply design thinking methodologies across not only the business product, but also the service products, the back office products, because that's all involves customers in the end. That also built into the vision for engineers, how we set up a data in the bank, whether these are different silos with different sets of data, or we actually are building a data lake where customer ID and customer insight is the central point. How different channels they must align at the customer in the end. So in many respects, I think it's how you transform the vision into actually a pre-requirements for many functions in the bank, but in the end they need to be all in the same boat and in relatively the same speed. Second of all, I think being a customer centric, you need to change the mindset of what it used to be a bank. Historically, I was comparing for my managers banks to a castle, where you had the ditch around, in front of the castle, the big walls, gates, and everything was protected because it had to be secure. In today's world, you cannot build a modern bank in this way and then claim that you want to be a client-centric. Client's life is much bigger than banking services, and we need to work with banking services where clients need us and when clients need us. That means opening up and becoming a platform, or being part of different platforms where our customers are. So for us, client-centric also means that not necessarily we will be providing all the services or products for our clients, but we want to make sure that clients that are using our brand, they feel that they can use it in a smooth and easiest way, whether they are on one or another e-commerce platform. It's our job to make their journey as easy as it could be.
I couldn't agree more with that. And in the sense of that transformation, I had never heard it being talked like a castle, but I kind of like the idea around the moat and around the non-openness as it relates to some of the topics around open banking and around that technology transformation, right? Yeah. APIs have been around for a long time, but the transformation and the usage of it, but even forget the technology. What I love that you said is, our life, we don't wake up in the morning and go, the bank, right? You wake up in the morning, like craving an experience. Maybe like I thought of a croissant when I just said that, but like craving something exciting. And there is an exchange of value. If you're going to get something, you give something. What are you getting? What are you giving? And who's helping you manage that? Then in a safe, caring, custodian manner. I see that as the potential for the conversation around open banking being like the start of actually the catching up from a regulatory perspective of paving the way for what other industries are already existing and encountering. Apps are being built on top of other apps, on top of other things, and on top of an open ecosystem. You've been pushing that agenda, if I got that right, around Poland quite heavily, both on one, having the impressive ability to just spin off a business and have the founder syndrome to say, let it go, play a Frozen song right about now, right? But putting that away and saying, let an ecosystem benefit from this, take cost out of an efficiency play. But you've been doing some bigger things. You mentioned Google. Tell me a little bit about, if you can, about that leadership and that partnership around cloud and around pretty much showing that it's not big tech versus bank versus fintech. It's about being smart around this and bringing the table to the table.
Look, so that idea around cloud, I think, started around 2017, where we clearly saw that this is going to be the most transformative trend in the industry, across many industries, and for any company, regardless of the industry and also of the size, meaning being an international corporation or being a small and medium enterprise, transferring into cloud will be a transformative option, and one that will put the business on a new wave. And that also applies to banks. In the future, I believe, and this is what I preach for my managers, like banks. As a bank, we need to, let's say, be great at 4 KPIs. One is the obsession around being a fully digital bank, meaning we need to replicate all the capabilities that used to exist in branch model. Now they need to be 100% available in the digital sphere. And that includes not only the sales, but also the operations. So the bank from inside must be also a bank that operates fully digitally. Then comes the obsession around net promoter score, so the winning the hearts of customers, and then cost to income. And these days, I mean, in the old days, as a bank, you could actually play your strengths, and the strategy was, okay, play your strengths, and there were banks that were exceptionally good at one KPI on another. These days, you need to be like Roger Federer, if you like tennis. He's great at any aspect of the game, whether these are, playing from the back of the court, playing by the net, the opening ball. I mean, and this what is also applies for banks. If you're not capable of operating with cost to income around 35%, in the medium term, your business will be at the big danger, because big platforms will play the pricing game. If your customer experience will not be at top of the top level, customers will ditch you. So all of these elements, I mean, are now intercombined, and you cannot just focus on one aspect. You need to be good at all of them. So that was the prerequisite to the cloud. We started discussing with Google and other players the opportunity to build a region in Poland. And at that time, Poland was too small. So we've built a coalition in Poland to commit that that the large corporates will actually use the Polish clouds, and that gives us opportunity to also create a large data lake of also sensitive data that for some companies might be too sensitive to put it outside of the borders, and actually create the opportunity to use the big data in Poland. Google just confirmed and opened its region in Poland. Microsoft will do it soon, and I'm thrilled about their plans to build the capabilities of engineers to manage this cloud. So that's a huge investment for Poland. That's huge investment also for my institution, because we are in this partnership together, and looking for revenues from like beyond banking. I know that in the future, this will be an important element of our competitive advantage. But these days, I mean, that's for us also a challenge, how quickly as a bank we will transform into a cloud environment. Our road to cloud now includes almost 60 initiatives at different stage of advancements, but we are transferring not only the obvious things, but moving our internet banking, our mobile banking, all into cloud technologies. And that's just amazing seeing the team getting the agility and getting also the availability of many tools that makes them smarter, makes them faster, and allows them to build more competitive products.
I love some of the things that you shared around, I like the example of tennis in terms of you just have to be good at everything. But I like the humility that came with some of the commentary around it, around that doesn't mean that maybe you are like an Olympian and an athlete, but you are humble enough to know that you're not going to build all the parts to get there. You just know you need them to get there. And I think that translates to the boldness of saying, hey, banks have historically kept sovereignties in countries at safety. Whether you want to talk about measuring ethics, we won't get into this discussion. And the bank has played a big role. How do you play a role in the safety of the future of the skills of that country, of raising up the bar? I think personally, that's why I get super excited about technology and about things like data and regulation catching up, like open banking and open data, because I see a way where we've seen this in some countries in Asia. You can raise people out of poverty in an insane fashion by digitizing an economy that and providing new opportunities, as you said, new revenues, new products, new ways of making not only your bank grow, but the economy grow, humanity be in a better place. That's my hope when I think of the transformation that lies in things like open banking and data. What's your hope, and what maybe perhaps more tangibly to keep you accountable as a bank? What are you kind of working on? You mentioned something around a future of a super app. Maybe I can dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. But since you mentioned the example of helping also people prosper better, which is part of our mission.
I thought so.
That's just to base it on example. I mean, some couple of years ago, I mean, we had the vision that in terms of entrepreneurs, we should not only help them to get the best customer journey in terms of opening their first business account, but the journey starts with thinking about how do I set up a business. So we've worked closely with public administration in order to allow to open a private business out of your e-banking service fully from your home. So 0 visits to any public registries. Like these days, if you are a customer of PKO Bank Polski, you can actually set up with your at home and open not only your business account, but actually register a business and start operating. So that was the start of the vision. So, but then we imagined that there's a many decisions as a small entrepreneur that you need to grasp at the very early stage, getting an accountant. So these days, if you are a customer, you already have a pre-booked in accounting services. And you can actually consult.
Moving my banking, that's it. You sold me, I'm moving my banking. You just told me 2 problems. I'm an entrepreneur for years.
Hold on. So right now we are in a pilot phase to actually have a dedicated fleet of cloud services where not only the software part, but many of the like a virtual desktop part will be fully based in cloud. And with that, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I mean, we can set you up 100% to operate your business, starting from administrative tasks to getting your accountant, getting you also a legal consultation if you need, and then actually solving all the issues you have as far as technology, having a storage, having a software, and also virtual desktop if you need it. So this is the power of cloud that allows the team to think broadly without limitation, because that can be delivered at really high speed with limited resources needed. But also in terms of moving on to broader vision, I'm pretty sure that open banking will mean a race towards super apps. You asked me how I set the vision for my team. Pre-COVID, part of the element of preaching was sometimes taking my managers to places like Shanghai, where they could experience actually using the super apps in China, and just being amazed, what it means to have such a powerful tool available like that. And that actually opens the eye and also the brains to think in different terms. These days, if you are using our app, you have a full lifestyle application, meaning you can do not only banking, but you have access to FX platform. You can actually compare different prices of different insurance products. And I will get to that because I think part of the client-centric mindset at the more advanced stage is a mindset where you need to be open beyond your products. But we can come back to that topic. But also as a customer of PKO Bank Polski, you can do public services. Like if I lose my ID, I can do from my app, I can actually block it and I can request a new one. I can pay for parking, for highways, many things. And the next step for us is actually giving these services to clients that not necessarily have an account with our bank. So I think the first stage will be the race to actually win with the value-added services and with the best app experience, not necessarily by converting clients from one bank to another. And open banking gives you that opportunity. Which services will be the winning factors? I think time will show, but I see this trend already happening with banks like BBVA in Spain, or ING with Yolt also going in that direction. So I'm not necessarily saying that we are the only one, but few banks in the world already are at this stage where their app is so powerful that you might want it not just for the bank, but for all the other things that it can offer.
When you look at that, what is, before we talk about what the future could look like and that true convenience, what is perhaps one of the challenges that you see today ahead of us in this ecosystem as we're building this hyper-connected lifestyle app?
Definitely speed. I mean, I preach my team that, look, the moment COVID started and we dropped all the other projects and we focus on the key priorities, we were the most efficient team ever. And I think, in between lines, meaning, okay, we need to prioritize much better to be faster to the market. But that also means a task from our engineers, and that's why part of our journey is migrating to cloud in order to be more agile and be just faster, because world around us changing so fast that you cannot work in the legacy environment and expect to be as fast as your non-banking competitors. So that's definitely one challenge. Second is around setting the priorities. We have just too many ideas at the same time, and I think that's pretty much universal. Third, and I think is the biggest, is the level playing field for compliance and regulation. We've talked about, Bianca, about it for open banking, that I strongly believe that we should move from open banking to open finance, meaning opening up insurance data, asset management data, brokerage, or pension plans, because this is my financial 360 view that I would like to have, and not necessarily just the current account or saving account in my bank or banks that I have. But then, comes the element of other industries like electricity, water, all of this that actually is important for my spendings, my tough decisions in my life. This data should be made available. And I think the fundamental problem I see is that many institutions, including banks like myself, used to think or still think that these are my data. No, these are customer data. So allow the customer to make the use with the data he or she wants, and just make it sure that it's secure and it's at his or her consent. And I believe that this is the future for client-centric institutions, that's how they will win the trust of their customers. If I will do the good job to making sure that the data can be made useful for my customers, even if it means going to another insurance to get the quotation and get better rates, I will win the trust of my customers. If I will be able to make sure that the app is so good to manage all the subscriptions or all the consent for using customer data, I will always be the center of the customer life, or let's say the super app for which we are hoping to be. I think also important is to understand, let's say, what it means really to be a super app in the future. A couple years ago, I had the privilege to be in San Francisco and visit a number of fintechs and also play with Alexa hooked up into a banking fintech. So at that moment, I understood that in the future, people will not be typing anything to apps, and companies that will own the smart assistance interface will basically own the CRM of the let's say, or the relationship with the customer. That is why today, if you are using PKO BP, PKO Bank Polski app, you actually can do chat and you can do actually voice, and you can make almost 150 different comments, including requesting payments, blocking a card, and you can do it all by voice. It's important when you're driving or when you're actually multitasking at home. But also it was an important feature for our customers that have problems with vision or are simply blind. For them, this was a life-changing experience to be app that they can talk to and do it everything from home. So a lot of technologies, I think, are solving many problems. Just you need to have the capability to try think beyond today and see how, let's say, big technologies are changing the world and the experience of our customers, and then see how you can adapt.
I hope the rest of the financial services system is listening. I think there's some great takeaways from your story, and not only being ready and nimble to realize what's valuable to the customer beyond what your product suite or your current capability. And I think you talked about effectively being the discretionary data manager, managing my identity and all its attributes, something I think I said in 2016 and people called me crazy. Here we are. It's nice to meet people that share the sentiment that humans are the most important thing and reason why we build all this stuff. And I think that's our shared hope here. How can technology do the impossible? And I think conversational banking, it's funny, I was just having a conversation with another bank right just before today around what is the future of conversational banking? What is the future of how humans are going to effectively want to make decisions, right? If we think about, do we want to make decisions on walking around our kitchen table, and devices are there to simply do and take us back to maybe a Jetsons episode, for those of you who know what it is, it's a cartoon, and make it possible and let human ingenuity, as you said, do what we do best and surprise ourselves, right? I think innovation and history, we sometimes forget. I think at the speed that technology moves, we're not sending a man to the moon anymore in the same, well, we do have SpaceX, but we're not sending a man to the moon or perhaps flying like we did before. So we kind of tend to forget the speed that these things are changing. And I think it's really interesting to see your mindset and the things you've accomplished to say, these things need to happen. I love the comment around cloud. I cannot tell you, Syzmon, how many conversations I've had, unfortunately or fortunately, with banks around the world talking about when we get to cloud. I liked your framing on, hey, we're competing. We remember the tennis example. We got to be good at everything. We can't have something so structural and foundational not be at our side to make us get there faster, better, cheaper. I really enjoyed hearing that parameter. And I think what we're doing today, and hopefully what we're doing at Open Banking Week, is educating this. So regulators and other people that maybe are asleep can come awake and realize this is possible. This is not the future. And apparently I have to move banks because it is the now in your bank and in Poland.
I invite everyone to Poland, or at least look at the Polish banking landscape to get a little bit of a feel. I mean, we have an extremely competitive market and a couple of really tough players, including likes of ING or mBank, that are also, cutting edge technology banking players. And I think that's also great, that we have a really competitive landscape. But with the example of the payment system, I think that was a great case where we actually sat down with the CEOs of our competing banks and say, listen, maybe we should build something for Polish payments, and we should not compete on the technological standards or the operations. Let's compete on the value proposition, how we will frame it in our mobile apps. But the standard should be unified, and that was, which I call digital co-opetition. So we are cooperating and competing at the same time, and it's a great success. And I can only say it's a case study that should be repeated in many other aspects. I've mentioned also, being the future will mean that banks will need to be more open, and that not only applies to being able to link with other platforms. In our case, and this is an early test, we actually created an insurance platform where we have our own insurance company, but we are allowing other companies to quote for our clients, and clients has a choice. What we can offer, saying, well, since comparing insurance is a difficult task because the features are different, we'll unify for you the product so you can have a transparent pricing comparison. And if we can be of value for you to make that hurdle for you, that's how we view ourselves as client-centric. We'll make sure that the quotation you will get will be for the same type of product, so you know for what you are protected, and then you can decide on the price. If there are some companies that are better than us, go ahead, buy it using our app. We are happy.
And I love that. That hints at the future of around some of the principles we see in DeFi today around supply and demand. If you go to a market, which fruit stand looks the best? It's your choice, not mine. How do I make that happen in an equal, open, and fair way? Simon, I could talk to you for a long time, but I have to thank you for your time, and thank you for being part of the Open Banking Week community. We're trying to bring all the emerging markets and all perhaps the countries that people don't know about. So here's the ask for the universe on the Polish-Brazilian collaboration. In the future, we need to bring at least you guys in Google to talk in Brazil, in person perhaps, or we come to Poland to tell that case story. I also want to hear about the case story around payments. And then the last but not least, what is next on Super Apps should be our next conversation. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing.
Let's make it happen. Thank you for having me. And hopefully that will be inspiring for some of my colleagues in other parts of the world. Good luck.